first meeting we are having within the community since we entered the month of April. So it's never too late to say Happy New Month, family. Welcome to the second quarter of 2025. It feels just like yesterday we entered, we welcomed 2025 with fireworks and Happy New Year echoing everywhere. And now we are already in Q2. Like, for real, am I the only one who feels like 2025 is speeding by? So once again, welcome to Q2 family. In the next 2 minutes, I'd like you to drop in the chat box your name and where you're joining from and describe what Q1 was like for you in 1 or 2 words. So for me, I'm going to say empowering. So what was Q1 like for you? Kindly drop in the chat box your name and where you're joining from and describe in 1 or 2 words what Q1 was like for you. All right, let's keep it coming. Your name and where you're joining from and what Q1, was like for you in 1 or 2 words. So for me, it's empowering. Quarter 2025, the first quarter of 2025 was empowering for me. So for you, what was it like for you? In 1 or 2 words, kindly drop that in the chat box, your name as well, and where you're joining from. All right, let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Let's drop it in the chat box. How was Q1? How was it for you on your own hand? How was it for you first quarter of 2025? Was it amazing? Was it productive? Was it empowering just like mine? What was it like for you? And also, do not forget to drop your name, add your name and where you're joining from. Would like to recognize you and welcome you on board to today's session. All right, let's keep it coming in the chat box. Okay, this is Gayoba from Gambia. Okay, first quarter of 2025 was great for Gayo. Okay, thank you, Gayo. That's awesome. Ezailo from Abuja, Nigeria. Amazing. First quarter of 2025 was amazing for Obi Ezailo from Nigeria. You're welcome, Madam Obi. Welcome, Gayo from Gambia. All right, Bibi Hannah from Nigeria says Q1 has been super productive. Okay, 2 words, super productive. Thank you, Bibi Hannah. Thank you for joining us at this moment. All right, we have Umbe Ndetasi. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, from Cameroon. Thank you so much for joining us at this time. All right, we have Irat from Abuja, Nigeria, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Q1 was stormy, okay, and kind of unsettling. Oh, wow. All right, just stabilizing and hope it gets better. Irat, I know and I believe that for you, Q2 is going to be amazing. It's going to be better than Q1. Thank you for sharing that with us. You're welcome on board. All right, we have Ngozi Ozuchukwu joining from Anambra, Nigeria. Q1 is work field. Okay, for Ngozi, first quarter of 2025, what's work field for Ngozi? Ngozi, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing that with us. Ibrahim from Ghana says Q1 was inspiring. Awesome. Thank you, Ibrahim, and you are welcome on board. Hello, everyone. This is Sharon from Uganda. Thank you, Sharon. It has been quite a busy and challenging one for me, being a student in a final semester. Oh, many strength to you, Sharon from Uganda. Thank you for sharing that with us. You're welcome on board. Okay, from Fatima Bello, she says, Q1 was a lot for me, though, but I'm still grateful for the amazing opportunities from God. Exactly, that's the spirit. No matter what, despite the challenges, we should still keep the spirit of gratitude. Thank you, Fatima, for sharing with us. And this is Savio from Federal Republic of Nigeria. Q1 was tasking, okay? I hope for a wonderful Q2. Do not worry, okay? Q2 is going to be better. It's going to be wonderful, much more better than Q1. Thank you for sharing that with us, and you're welcome. Maria Ella from Madagascar, nice to be here. Maria Ella, you are most welcome. Thank you for joining us all the way from Madagascar. Andy Khan from Nigeria says, Q1 has been eventful. Awesome. Good to know that. Andy Khan from Nigeria, you are most welcome. Okay, we have Kashifa from Ghana. Kashifa from Ghana. Thank you. We're so happy to have you as well. Welcome on board. Okay, this is Bernard from Ghana. Bernard from Ghana, up to get more insight today. Absolutely, I can promise you that you are in for an insightful session and your expectations are going to be met. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for sharing how your Q1 has been. It's such, a beautiful thing, and it's awesome to read it all. Okay, we have another one from Timothy Ojewi Blessing from Gombe, Nigeria. She says, Q1 has been eventful. Okay, I think you're the second person to say Q1 has been eventful. Good to know. Thank you, Blessing Ojewi from Nigeria, Gombe. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you all for joining us at this moment. Welcome to the Q2 once again family. All right, at this moment, I know we have set, okay, or let me see if we have more information in the chat box, okay? I think that's what we have now. All right. If you're on the call, you're yet to share what your Q1 has been like. All right, so I'm opening the floor, giving you an opportunity to do that in the next 2-3 minutes. Let's have that before we move to the next thing. All right, what was Q1 like for you if you're just joining the call? What was Q1? How was it like for you? In 1 or 2 words, describe our Q1, the first quarter of 2025, how it has been for you personally. All right, let's keep it coming. And please, if you're here as well, kindly drop on your community platform in your country to remind people that the meeting, the session on the hack of public speaking are started already. And this is a session, this is an event, any Wikimedian within the African continent and beyond cannot afford to miss. Thank you very much. All right, since we have set a relaxed and engaging atmosphere for today's session, let's top it up, with a wine that has some cube of ice in it. So now, please join me in welcoming Amarachi Okoro as she takes up the microphone and give us a worthy appetizer before we dive into the main course. Okay, we have the main course, but before we dive into the main course, ladies and gentlemen, please drop in the chat box a clap innovation and kindly welcome Amarachi Okoro as she takes up the microphone and give us, a worthy appetizer. Amarachi Okoro, over to you.
Hello, thank you so much, Emanuela. Good afternoon, everybody. All right, so I'm pleased to be here with such beautiful individuals here in the meeting. And yes, just like Emanuela said, I'll be taking the icebreaker session, and the session will not be complete without everyone here present. So I'll be sharing the link to the icebreaker. All right, so, and I'll be sharing my screen while we take this session together. All right, so we want to hear from you regarding this particular session. All right, so I'll be sharing my screen briefly. All right. All right, so can we see my screen? Emanuela, please help me confirm this.
Yes, Amarachi, I can see your screen.
All right, thank you. All right, great. So so we want to hear from us, as that's what the icebreaker session is all about. All right, so I want us to confirm if we've been able to use the link to get to this Mentimeter slide. All right, so I need us to confirm. Are we on this? Are we on the Mentimeter slide? All right, so yeah. So our first slide is quite an interesting one in regards to the session that we have today. So we want you to tell us about your first public speaking moment. Where was it and when? All right, so I want this session to be an interactive one. Don't be shy, just tell us. Just tell us about your first public speaking moment, where it was and when. If you can remember the year, of course, I can remember mine vividly, just like yesterday. All right. When a class, all right, so I would like to share while I wait for others to share theirs. All right, so we had this situation in class, and my class teacher told me that I was going to take the recitation the next day. I mean, it was barely 24 hours prior, so I was really scared. I've never done that in my whole life. And that day, I was really shaky. And God knows, I was not looking at anybody's face, because I just know that for a fact that once I look at these people, I'm going to laugh. I'm going to forget all that I've practiced or rehearsed over the few hours I had before. So I just have one response here. We want you to tell us about your first public experience moment. All right, I had a speech to present to the whole school the next day. I almost missed school that day. Oh, I can relate. I can relate totally. I was in uni when I was doing presentation in, okay, it was in university when I was doing presentation in 2020. Yeah, thank you so much. Bring it on. We want to hear it. Don't keep it to yourself. Kindly share the moment with us. We want to relive it with you. All right. So mine was in secondary school. Man, it was quite a day for me. Was on the presentation of my classwork. I was sweating and all my body was shaking. And a guy just said, "Twan," and I forgot everything. I can imagine, yeah. It can really be, it's really a lot, all right, standing before individuals and then having to speak on that particular idea that you have planned hours for. It was my presentation in 2026 in the university. All right, so let's move on to, thank you so much for this. So let's move on to the next slide. All right, so describe your first public speaking moment in one word, just one word. Let's not just make it a hectic one, just in one word. That word that describes it all. I'm still thinking of a word to describe mine. I'm still thinking. Embarrassing, exhilarating, messy, I can imagine. Well, I'm still thinking of a word. For a moment, I was dumbfounded, but I shall delivered. But I'm still looking for that word. Unspectacular. All right, it was difficult. For me, it was embarrassing at first, but I overcame. Please, let's bring it on so that we can hear from your experience, from your moments. All right. Oh, it was stressful. I can imagine. Yeah. And do you know the best part of it? After you're done with the whole presentation, that's when life comes back to your body. I can imagine. All right, so I'll be moving on to the next slide. What did your first public speaking moment teach you? What did it teach me? All right, so on that day, I actually learned that you can do anything, just that you can't even imagine what you're capable of doing, really. You can't imagine until you start doing it. That's when you come to realize that, oh wow, so I can do something like this. Overcome your fears. No one is gonna beat you at all. Nobody's going to beat you, man. Nobody at all. So overcome it. Strength and fearless and confident. I can do better. Exactly. You only get better. All right. I can actually relate to this because you have to overcome your fears to actually see what you're capable of doing, I mean. All right, so let's bring it on. I want to learn from our experiences, our moments. All right. I was eager for the next opportunity to rectify my errors. Yes, that's just the best fact, because once you get onto that stage and you've actually done that, you realize that, okay, this is how it's being done. Okay, I can actually do better by doing something like this the next time. All right, I learned to have a clear understanding of the idea you want to share to avoid being speechless. Exactly. Because once you understand the idea, all right, for a moment you have something to say, all right, even if it's a situation that is unplanned, you can defend yourself that it was okay because of my preparation. All right, let's bring it on. We want to hear from you. I want to learn from our experiences. I'm bigger with words than physical appearance. Okay. All right, I'm still waiting for one or two responses, and we'll move on to the next slide for this session. All right. Preparation is so important. Indeed. You have to prepare, because once you're prepared at some point, it helps you overcome some circumstances. Though there can actually be situations that you don't plan for, but preparation helps you at some point. Yes, please. Avoid looking directly, exactly, and stay focused, and avoid looking at these eyes directly and start looking at people's heads. Yes, exactly. And come to think of it, when I had my own first moments, I didn't look at those people. I didn't look at my friends. I looked at them, I was certain I was going to fail or start laughing or lose my confidence and all of that. All right. All right, thank you so very much for taking part in this icebreaker session. Thank you for making it such an interactive one. I enjoyed it, and I've actually learned. So I'm not feeling weird hearing these responses. I know that, okay, yes, I mean, I'm a human being. So since others felt this way, that means I'm a human being as well. Thank you very much for participating, for joining this session. I really appreciate. All right, Emanuela, back to you, please. You have the floor.
All right, Amarachi Okoro, thank you for that beautiful, engaging session. It was indeed an icebreaker. I really enjoyed every bit of it. Yeah, I think we all have experiences when it comes to, our first time standing in front of an audience or large crowd or congregation and speaking. So thank you, Omoji, for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Belief communication is a crucial part of everything we do as humans, whether you're advocating for change, leading a movement, or telling us Kate makes all the difference. So it goes beyond, speaking, but I has to do mainly with the change communication can birth, perception it can shape, action it can inspire, and the impact it can bring to society. Right? I think Kindly unmute your mic. Sorry, kindly mute your microphone. Thank you. In order to avoid interference. Thank you for that. All right, so it's all about the perception fire and the impact it can bring to society. And that is why today we have a phenomenal, highly experienced and savvy communication specialist as our guest speaker. She is none other than the winning Kambitai. I do not know if I pronounced the surname correctly, but I beg your pardon if I mispronounced it. Winnie Kambite is a journalist and communication specialist with over a decade of professional experience in media and communications. She is passionate about empowering young people through media and information literacy, with a goal to equip women and youth with the skills to navigate the digital space, combat misinformation, and leverage media for positive change. She's currently working as the movement's communication specialist at Wikimedia Foundation. She has received awards such as Youth Media Advocate, Zuri Awards in 2019, Youth of the Year, Media Category, Top 5 Awards by Youth Agenda in collaboration with State Department Ministry of Youth and High City in 2020. Our work continues to inspire and drive impactful conversations on media literacy, digital equity, and the power of information in shaping societies. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Winnie Kambitai. Thank you so much, Winnie, for honoring our invitation. And we are so happy to have you join us at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly drop in the chat box a clapping ovation as I bring on board Winnie for the session. Thank you so much, Winnie, for joining us at this time. The microphone is yours.
Thank you, Asante sana, as we say in Nairobi or East Africa in Swahili. Emanuela, it gives me so much joy to be here. Thank you to everybody who's also taken time to join us today for this great session. I know it's a Saturday and you could be anywhere, at a wedding, at a party, but you chose to be here and we don't take it for granted. So the art of public speaking. Emanuela, are you going to help me present the slides?
Yes, I'll do that in a minute. Okay.
Great. So the art of public speaking. Why does it matter? Why is it important for us? I'll kick off with a quick story. So I've always loved storytelling from a young age. I told stories about everything, the world around me, the people around me, and the things that fascinated me beyond my environment. As I grew older, and started becoming more self-aware, as a young lady, as a leader, I started interrogating the nature of my stories and why I was telling them. Because it was one thing to realize that I liked to talk to people, I like to tell people things, but I started interrogating why did telling these stories matter? What did I want to achieve? But also, how did I feel when I told these stories, when I spoke about things that I cared about, and why it even mattered for me to talk about them and to share them? I realized that I enjoyed speaking up because it made a difference. That was one of the outliners. I realized that when I spoke up, it made a difference. If it was speaking against an injustice, if it was speaking to influence a decision, it still made a difference. And speaking up, the things that I said, what I said, either informed, entertained, inspired, or influenced certain actions, inactions, and even decisions. And that made me feel proud and confident And I realized I liked to feel that. I liked to feel confident. I love that I felt confident. I love that I felt proud when what I said influenced certain decisions, especially when those decisions made a very big impact, not just to me, but to the people around me or the people that would have been affected if that decision wasn't taken. And now, as a full grown up adult with over a decade of experience in media and communications and advocacy, I realize that without a doubt, public speaking is essential for leadership and personal and professional development. Looking back, I see so many moments in my life where speaking up made the difference. Like the difference between certain major decisions was made by just speaking up. And since that time, I made it a personal calling. In fact, I even realized it's those moments and that bit about interrogating, this bit about speaking up when it's needed, speaking up about things that we care about, that actually even influenced my career in media and communications. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad to be here today. My name is Winnie Kabinti. I am based in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm glad to be here, particularly in my professional capacity as a youth leader and a communication specialist, movement communication specialist at the Wikimedia Foundation, particularly for Sub-Saharan Africa. I'm delighted to facilitate this workshop on the art of public speaking and share insights from personal experience, from knowledge, and also get to hear from you as well and share insights that will empower you to harness your voice in pursuit of meaningful societal impact, enhance your communication skills, and enable you to become the supercharged changemaker that you are in the society. So, what does it mean when we say public speaking? And I would really like this to be very interactive and engaging. So, if we can go back to the first slide first. Um, so, I would like this conversation to be very interactive. And one of the ways that we can even make this interactive is for those who are able to, please turn on your camera. It will be great for me to see that I am speaking to some real humans behind those beautiful names. That will make me happy. If you're able to, please go ahead and do it. But before we kick off, I would also like to hear from a few of you, or all of you, if you're able to put it on the chat. If you would like, I will give you a few minutes to verbalize it. You can raise your hand. What comes to your mind when we talk about public speaking? And what is it that you're looking to gain in this workshop today? I particularly want to hear a few insights on what you're looking to gain from this workshop today before we kick it off. So, who's bold enough to verbalize? Yes, Obi.
Good evening, everyone. Well, it depends on the topic I'm going to talk about. So what comes to my mind first is, will people like what I'm going to say? And at the end, will I be convincing enough to, get their attention to do what I want them to do?
Amazing. Thank you for sharing, Obi. Anybody else? What are you looking to gain in this workshop today? And what comes to your mind when we talk about public speaking? Feel free to put it on the chat. One more round for anyone who would like to verbalize. Yes, Blessing.
Yeah, good evening from Nigeria. I want to just ask, and that is what I want to learn today. Is it all how to speak in a kind of a formal public space, or the one that have to do with jovial? So that's what I want to learn. When you are in a particular gathering, there's how to speak. There are some gathering that if you are too formal, the people may not even understand what they are doing. So this is what I want to learn, to know the type of gathering and how to present there. Thank you.
Indeed, that is a very key element. We will tackle it specifically when we talk about knowing your audience, and I'm glad that you're eager to learn about that. Ibrahim and then Anne.
Okay, good evening, ma. Okay, what I want to learn today is that how can I control my speed when I'm talking to others or when I stand in front of others to address them? So I tend to be fast when I'm talking. So is there any way I can control that, ma?
Sorry, Ibrahim, could you say that again?
So when I stand before others or when I'm addressing others people, when I'm addressing people, I tend to be very fast when I'm talking. Is there any way I can control this, ma?
Amazing, great. And for sure, we're going to tackle that. Glad you're here. Stick around until the end. Anne?
So good evening, ma. Good evening, everyone. I want
Anne,
to
okay,
learn from. Hello, good evening. All right. So what I hope to learn from this meeting this evening is, I realize that sometimes it seems my public speaking is so perfect, no anxiety, but some other times I have this anxiety no matter how prepared I am, not my first time, even after doing it better the previous time. So I hope to learn how to overcome this anxiety that pop up once in a while.
Amazing. So I will give it to the final person that I see on the hand up, Bernard, but feel free to continue putting your thoughts on the chat. Bernard?
Okay, please, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm Bernard from Ghana. And also, when talking about the public speaking, this is a way or an act of communicating ideas in public. And I also wish to learn more about body language, how to position myself, and how to make up my body when I'm communicating with people in public. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bernard. Indeed, you guys are raising great things that we are actually going to tackle in this workshop today. And, the reason why I even asked is also one of the elements we are going to see why this is important. It's actually part of knowing your audience and curating your topic or your discussion to tailor the needs of your audience. I see Abdul Kadir also wants to learn how he can understand his audience, is getting what he's actually presenting. And there's Gayo who also would like to improve on his public speaking skills because he's very good in other areas of communications, but public speaking is where the challenge is. So this is great. So a quick definition, Emanuela, please let me know in the chat how long I have. As a communication person, we can speak and speak. So I would really like to ensure that I deliver everything within this short time. So just a quick overview of our workshop today and some of the things that we are going to tackle. Again, this is communication, and we cannot really conclude everything within today. But today we are going to share a bit of the fundamentals of public speaking, understanding even what is this public speaking, what is it about, the importance of public speaking in leadership, advocacy, and community engagement, storytelling for impact, and engaging the audience effectively. We are also going to have a practical bit where we get to put to practice some of the things that we would have learned. Next slide, please. So first, it's always very important when we talk about public speaking, we're talking about mostly storytelling because public speaking is very speech oriented. Unlike the written side of communication, this is the verbal side of it. And by a quick definition, public speaking is communication. In communications refers to the act of delivering structured message or speech to a live audience with the intention of informing, influencing, entertaining, or motivating. It's a very key component of verbal communication, and it's an essential skill in many fields, especially when it comes to leadership, which I believe we all are. Media, education, advocacy, and corporate communication for those of us who are also in careers that need you to have some of these skills. Why is public communication or public speaking important? Now that we've understood what it is, when it comes to leadership, in one way or another, you'll find yourself having to inform people about the work that you're doing. Either first as just an awareness that you want to raise, or two, because you need them to jump on board and support you in one way or another. You also need to, if you're in these community-centered spaces, you also need to communicate to your beneficiaries and tell them why the work that you're doing as a community leader, as a leader of a nonprofit education organization, or even as an educator, you need to tell your beneficiaries why what you're instilling to them or the work that you want to impact that community matters to them and the difference it will make. When we're speaking about public speaking and why it matters, we also need to look at the medium. And the medium is, you can also call it a channel. It's the channel that you're using, the tools that you're using to communicate. We will also be looking at your audience. Who are this audience? What kind of people are they? What do they like? What kind of messaging, what kind of angles inspires them? How do you need to show up to different audiences? And most importantly, the context of what you're saying and the feedback. So we can move to the next bit about elements of effective public speaking. Next slide, please. Sorry, please, let's a bit back again, sorry.
Sorry, I couldn't go back.
Now Siri wants to help. Yes, elements of effective public speaking. There. Next. Next, I think it should be yes, that one. So there are a few elements of, okay, don't worry about the slides. We will share them a bit later and you'll be able to get it. So there are a few elements when it comes to public speaking that you need to pay attention to. Again, as we said, forget about the word even public speaking. Let's talk, it's at the end of the day, it's communication. Whatever you're doing, whether it's in public or it's in private, it's communication. So there are a few elements that you need to consider when it comes to this avenue of communication. And the first thing is content. What is it that you want to communicate? That is the first question you should ask yourself. And once you highlight that, you ask yourself, how can you best deliver that content in terms of clarity, the structure, and the relevance? Those are the three components when it comes to delivering your content. First, asking yourself, what is it that you want to communicate? Who do you want to communicate to? What do you want them to do with that information? And why it matters for you to tell them that information. That is what influences the content. So in journalism, you can look at a quick approach of having that in the first, in this case, since it's not written, we won't say the first paragraph, But at the end of the day, even when you're preparing for this presentation, you'll have to put it down on paper somewhere. So in journalism, there's something that we use. It's called the 5 W's and a H. And that's something that I've seen even outside the journalistic side of my work. When it comes to communication, it's also a strategy that I use to help me structure my content so that it has structure, it's clear, and it covers everything that I need. So the 5 W you ask yourself is who? The second W, so you can even list them down, like going down, not like in horizontally. You can do it vertically. The 5 W, so it's 5 W's. So you write 1 W, the second, the third, the fourth, and a H. 4 W's and a H, sorry. So the first one is who, the second one is why, the other one is what, the other one is where, and the last one is how. So that's one of the tricks that you can use, or the formulas that you can use if you're wondering how to structurize your content and ensure that it's great. So it's what is it that you want to communicate? Who do you want to tell? Why is it important to tell them? And why? That's why you're also interrogating, why is this audience important for this message? And then the last one, where is the space, the avenue? Where are you going to speak to this? Maybe you have a super public speaking power conversation that you want to tell, and it's about telling the success stories of your work, with the goal to get more donors, more volunteers to come and join your cause. So you ask yourself, what are the spaces that you're going to find these people, and what is the best channel to actually use? Because nowadays, when it comes to the new media and different channels of communication in the digital world now, this has changed or disrupted the communication spaces. So, unlike in the past when we could only go to events physically, now we even hear from different corners of the world, but we are brought together in a digital space. So the medium also, or rather the digital influence, has also changed a lot of the tricks or the modalities of how we used to operate. And also now that we are also mostly going to do a lot of our work in a very techy, hybrid or virtual spaces, I'm also going to share very simple, practical steps when it comes to content delivery between being physically with people and also being online, because it's very relevant. So we go to, again, voice. And when it comes to voice, you ask yourself, so we're still at the elements of effective public speaking. We've dealt about content. Now we're looking at the voice. Your voice is very important when it comes to public speaking or verbal communication. And somebody asked, I don't know if it was Ibrahim, he said he had a challenge of speaking too fast. I'm not sure if I'm confusing the names, apology, but one of us shared, and they said the challenge they have is speaking too fast, or not knowing if you're speaking too fast, or if people are even getting what is it that you're sharing. So your voice is very important. And this is one of the things that I actually came to learn. Naturally, I'm a person who speaks very fast, extremely fast. But one of the things that I came to learn as I grew in the communication space was that speaking slowly actually matters a lot. And it matters in various ways. When you speak slowly, you're able to have more clarity. People are able to hear you better. And it also actually helps you to be less nervous. When you speak fast, you're nervous, you're rushing through things. You can easily forget about the things that you're saying. I think it was Obi who gave us a personal example of the first time she spoke and how it was. So when you're nervous, we end up speaking very fast. But actually, when you ever feel nervous when you're speaking, just breathe in, breathe out, and take things very slow. You will realize how that brings a natural calmness and gives you so much confidence and even clarity. Because if you're taking it slow, even when you forget what you're saying, naturally it feels as though you are just taking a natural pause. But if you're nervous, you're rushing things, you just be like, and I'm sorry, forget that. And, it gets chaotic. So that's one of the trick. So you have a very calm tone, you have a very paced approach, and you also control your volume. Like, don't be too loud that you seem as though you're shouting. And I know some of us are naturally loud, myself included. But there are people who speak, but you think they're shouting because of the tone. Like, picture how I'm delivering this particular conversation versus if I was saying, don't be loud, don't rush, don't feel nervous, don't, you see, the tone changes. It feels as though you're speaking at people and not speaking to people. So the tone makes a lot of difference. The choice of words also makes a lot of difference. Okay, so that's as far as the content voice is concerned. Then we have body language. And I put this sticker here for a reason. It's body language makes a lot of difference. When we talk about public speaking, this is verbal speech that you will deliver either virtually in a call like this, as I'm doing, or in a physical space where you are on stage somewhere, or in a side event somewhere, but you're there with your audience. So I will pause here first because I promised that this was going to be very engaging. So what comes to your mind? And feel free to verbalize it if you're ready, or put it on the chat quickly. What comes to your mind when you see this guy in terms of who do you think this guy is in terms of profession? Please put it on the chat. Who do you think this guy is? Professionally, what does he look like he does? That's question number one. Question number two, what do you think this guy is saying? Please put it on the chat quick, because I know I'm not sure Emanuela tells me how long I have again, but I'm trying to balance everything within the time that I know I have. I see people are saying they think this guy is a celebrity, a rapper. He must be giving a vote of thanks. Master of ceremony. All right. So my first question goes to, and actually, I share the same sentiments with is it Say? Let me call it you Say. The first thought when I saw this person, I also thought this must be an artist. So Say, please unmute yourself and tell us what makes you think that this person is an artist. What makes you think so?
Aside from the fact that I know him personally, with the way he's moving, with the way he's doing his swag thing, the way he does his swag, you know that this person is a celebrity, he could be an artist. So that was why I decided to say he's an artist.
Amazing. I saw also Obi. No, Obi, you think is a lecturer. Somebody else said master of ceremony, also which borders on art. Anita, what makes you think this person is an MC?
I thank you, and that has been a great presentation done by you. I think he is a master of ceremony because of the way he's dressed. Usually they would also like to come up with some stylish way of dressing, and I think he's got that. Thank you.
We call it swagger. So he's got the swag, yeah? The drip.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And his gestures,
All right. Yeah. I like that. I see Obi thinks this guy is a lecturer, which is unconventional from what most of us think of this guy. We've already said he's an art, but maybe it could be a lecturer of art. Obi, what makes you think this guy is a lecturer? And a lecturer of what? There we go to Bernard.
Okay. Because of his dressing, let me say he's a funky lecturer. and maybe he's lecturing on something that has to do with theater arts or dramatic arts, something like that. Or maybe he's giving them his life history or something like that.
Awesome. Great. And finally to Bernard, who's had his hand up.
I also think he's a rapper. And aside the fact that I know him personally too, if you look clearly, there's a tattoo on his forehead, and he's also having some piercing in his ears, wearing some earring and other stuff. Yeah. So that makes me think that he's a musician or a rapper.
Okay, thank you, Bernard. Indeed. Now, I think majority of us have the impression that this guy is an artist, whether he's a rapper or whatever, but we can tell nobody said he's a doctor, he's a lawyer. Nobody gave him that. We're not saying an artist is not a serious profession. It is, by all means. But there's a way we've classified him based on his perception, his general outlook. And this takes us to the bit about your body language, her gestures when it comes to how you communicate, the things that you do with other parts of your body. It could be your head, your hands, your clothes, and also your dress code when it comes to presentation. People will judge you by how you're dressed. And one of the other tricks, again, is that your dress code, even for you as a speaker, will influence how confident you actually feel about yourself. Because first it starts internally. So body language is very important when it comes to public speaking. And this is something that you need to work on as an individual. Now imagine if this guy was here in this meeting today and we gave him a chance to tell us who he actually is and how disappointed he would feel, or how confused, or how interesting he would find it to find that he's actually a lawyer, and here he was actually giving a public lecture, but we all thought that he was an artist, a rapper. It would have been very interesting. But we thought the way we thought, and rightfully so, because of how he looks, what it looks like he's saying, and even the unconventional way in which he's presented himself. So he's wearing a suit, a nice tie there. And then interestingly, there's a Marvin. It's not even like a formal hat. It's a very casual hat. So that brings in the informality that we see with the, artists, the unconventional way of we're breaking this thing up. And also the body, how he's moving around is like he's giving an entertainment piece. So for you as a speaker, whenever you find yourself having to go in front of an audience, you have to ask yourself, you have the message, you've said, identify what is it that you want to communicate. Ask yourself, how do you need to present yourself? How do you want to sound? Do you want to sound authoritative? Do you want to sound like you know what you're saying? Do you want to even look like you know what you're saying? Do you want people to feel? Do you want to feel respected? Do you want to feel recognized? And ask yourself, what is it in your physique that you're going? Because we were given the height as a sense for a reason. People will look at you and make so many judgments, so many impressions about you just by looking at you. And sometimes we say we don't care, and it's okay. But if you are a speaker, you have to care. You have to care because the perceptions that people already make about you makes a difference in how they receive what you're going to say and how the decision that they will take afterwards. Because you're communicating to people to influence something. The outcome of that will be influenced on how they take that. So when it comes to dress code, if you've identified that you want to be seen as a leader, a confident leader, dress the part. You can say suits are not my thing, or looking formal is not my thing, but if you're going to a formal space, then you need to look the part. Again, there are clothes for you as a person that you also need to care. And in your wardrobe, look around and say, what certain things clothing do you wear? What certain shoes? There's always that one outfit I know each one of us has that if you have an important space, if I wear this, I feel good. So whenever you find yourself in that space, please do that. When it comes to I will combine both the physical bit and now the remote, like what we have, because I don't want to bury my head in the sand, especially as a person who is very keen on the digital media space, and also forget about telling us how we show up in the digital spaces. One, if you're speaking to an audience on Zoom or any other platform, but it's virtual, it is important for you to have your camera on. And I know this is always controversial, like, I don't want to show my face, because also digital rights have told us we have the privilege of showing our faces when we want to. And even if we don't want, it's still fine. We can turn off our cameras and stay in our pajamas and everything, and it's okay. And it's fine if you're attending a meeting and all you have to do is engage with your colleagues once in a while. But also, it's very important to, most of the time, be on camera, especially if you're a speaker. Imagine if I was doing this workshop and just because I had the option of not being on camera, I still chose not to be. By now, even I want to believe that the 34 of you who are on this call, myself included, I want to believe that at least 90% of us are really engaged, are paying attention. If I get even too ambitious, I want to believe there's somebody with a notebook and a pen, they're taking notes. And there's somebody who could have even zoned out. But the fact that I'm here and you're looking at me, somehow, when you try to zone out, you imagine I'm looking at you, or you want to look at me, and it makes you stay and feel engaged. So that is why it's very important. If you ever find yourself, you are speaking in a Zoom call, Google Meet, wherever, make an effort to actually show your face. It really makes a lot of difference. Then the last thing is engagement, interaction. And also when it comes again to, I don't know if I should say this or it's too much, again, bringing too much information. When it comes to, again, what you wear, it's also important. But again, because I'm a person who likes to inform, just to inspire, if you're going online and you have to be on camera, or you find yourself being invited actually to a media interview or a panel discussion, but it's in a media space, please don't go wearing white colors. If you're also appearing on a Zoom call, try to avoid white or very light grays or very light blues, especially white, because they make you be absorbed in the background of things. So try and have colors that are not extremely on the white side of things. That also makes a lot of difference. And then we go lastly to the other thing on engagement, interaction, storytelling. If you are able to bring about humor, please do. Only if you're able to bring about it naturally. So what this does, it's hard to really speak to people throughout. We are all humans and we are bound to have very short concentration spans. We are bound to have distractions, and especially in these days of these gadgets, phones. So you could be in a physical space and people are busy on phone, and it can really be intimidating and frustrating for you as a speaker. You're in a room speaking to people and everybody is on phone chatting. Sometimes people like to pretend if it's a physical space, they are tweeting their activities, but in real sense, people are catching up. So sometimes we are not able to control that. But one of the ways that sometimes people will do that just because of the phone addiction, but most of the time they will also do it if they've zoned out from you. And that is if you overly make your delivery a lecture. So it's good to have bits where you ensure you're interacting with your audience. It could be through questions. You saw even a very practical example. When this session started, when this workshop started, Emanuela asked us, I don't know if she did that intentionally, but Emanuela did ask us whether how our quarter, the first quarter of the year has been. We say that. It's a way of, as the moderator of this call, we just started, we just got here. Imagine if we went straight on to this workshop. You wouldn't even have settled, you wouldn't even have felt at home. But that little engagement that we had, I'm sure there's a way it made you feel, even as an attendee of this workshop, coming in and being given a space to, be heard, to share your thoughts, and to be acknowledged. It makes a lot of difference. So if you ever find yourself having to speak to people, even if it's a physical meeting, acknowledge them. It could even be through a compliment. Identify somebody in the room and say something nice to them, or give them a compliment, or ask them a question. It makes a lot of difference, even for you as a speaker, especially if you do it at the beginning of your engagement. It helps you to settle in, gather your thoughts, and process everything, and even feel at ease with the audience. If you crack a joke, there are people who are very good with humor, and people laugh. It helps you to relax. So that's one of the tricks that you can use. And also you can use a story to open up. And this is something that I also did, and something I like to do. When you're speaking to people, start with giving them, especially if you're going to speak to them for a long time, on a particular subject that you're good at. Give them a personal story. It helps to make people feel at ease, to connect with you, to feel like they're part of your journey, and just it makes your delivery better as a speaker. So I'm almost done, and then I'm going to open room for the Q&A, and then we have a very practical session as well. So after all is said and done, we've spoken about the key elements of effective public speaking. We've spoken about content, voice, body language, engagement, and I really tried to incorporate some of the tricks in the interest of time that you can use to overcome some of these things. But let's tackle one important thing that most of you have even raised as some of the things you want to take out of this workshop: overcoming your fear of public speaking. So we've said this is important, public speaking is important, telling your story is important, but how, yes, you can dress nicely, feel confident, but still there's that thing that still tells you, makes you nervous, even changes how you are walking to that stage, and you might even trip and fall, or just gives you a stammer that you never had ever, or gives you the R's in certain words when you never had a problem between an L and an R, but because you're nervous, all these things come in, and sometimes you even go blank between what you are wanted to say, and you have no idea what you're going to say. So there are some things that you can do. Some of them I've already shared in the previous bits when I was sharing about elements that you can do to actually overcome that fear. First, it's also the personal affirmations that you tell yourself, that if you've been invited to this space, you're good enough. Because sometimes, because of the different fears that we have as individuals, or different criticisms that we faced, sometimes we build these fears. Am I good enough? Am I even prepared enough? But when you look at yourself in that mirror, once you're done dressing up, affirm yourself, tell yourself that you're good enough and you're important. And that's why you are in that space to share or to talk about whatever it is that you're sharing. That makes a lot of difference, because confidence has to come from within you. It doesn't matter how much every day people tell you that you're good, you're excellent, and everything. It is how you take it and embrace that and live it, that actually you get to feel that. So affirm yourself every day that you're good enough, you're important, you're confident. And learn also to prepare. Don't just be invited to a space or you want to go and speak about something and you wake up, you show up. That never works most of the time. If you've been ambushed, well and good. And most of the time, people will ambush you for just saying hi, greeting people. But if it's about speaking in an event, at least you'll have 24 hours to prepare, or at the very least 12 hours. So please prepare. Use the strategy that I've shared earlier about how you structure your content. Prepare how you deliver it. If you can't even record yourself, listen to how you sound, because there's a difference between how we think we sound and how we actually sound. So ask yourself, I'm here supposed to deliver this message. How do I actually want to sound? If you're still trying to cultivate this, record yourself, see how you sound, and see what is it in your audio that you actually need to change to sound the way you would like. How to overcome nervousness. I've shared that earlier. Preparation, and even now, when you prepare, you feel more confident about yourself. I personally, even with the over 10 years I have in communications and media, when I was given this opportunity to come and share as a facilitator, I had to prepare. And even 30 minutes before we started, I was seated in this same place, going through my slides and still asking myself the same thoughts, the same insights, the same focus, the same angle that I had, that I needed to share this when I was preparing my content. Is it still the same one? And I would verbalize that. And that's why even delivering here, I feel confident, it comes naturally. But if I just woke up and assumed, I've done this, I mean, I'll just come and speak over my head, it wouldn't, trust me, it wouldn't be as efficient as it is now. And you feel it even as a speaker. If you're not prepared, you feel it. So please always ensure that you have prepared. Take your time. Share peer-to-peer exchange. They help a lot. Again, knowing your audience. This is very key. Whenever you find yourself in a room, find out who is in my room. Sometimes you have the privilege of knowing your audience in advance. People will invite you and say, come to this space. If it's a regular webinar, you know the kind of people that attend. But if you don't know, strive to ask, who will be in the audience? What kind of people are they? Because that will actually inform how you curate your messaging. You could have a very good message, but if it's directed to the wrong audience, it becomes irrelevant. And we don't want that. Again, knowing your audience, again, will also inform how do you groom yourself for that audience? What kind of things tick to this audience? What kind of jokes matter to this audience? So again, you cannot prepare for any delivery without knowing your audience. And when you know your audience, you even are able to identify your channels of delivery. You'll see, okay, it's a webinar. After this, what else can I speak to these people? Is there a press release that I also need to do in addition to this because I need this story out there? And then focusing on the message, not yourself. It doesn't matter how prominent you are, how good you are, how award-winning, trophy-winning, and all these things you are. But if you're going to be in a space to speak about a topic, focus on that topic, not you. There are speakers who will come and it's all about them, how they went to this space, how they achieved this, how they did this, how they did this. And it becomes a very self-centered personal journey. So focus on the message that you want to tell people and not yourself. And lastly, how you structure your speech. I shared the outline about the content, the everything, but also your opening. Grab an attention with a strong hook. And that goes to the practical side that I gave earlier. How you give a story, it could be an example, it could be a joke, it could be a quote, anything. It could be a quick compliment that you even give. It helps both the audience and yourself to relax. The body of your speech, make sure your key points are structured in the body, and how you conclude also. Conclude on it with an impact. And this is where you ask yourself, why were you telling these people whatever it is that you are sharing? And what action did you want to inspire? Or what memorable takeaway did you want them to get? So always ensure that you have a conclusion that has a call to action. The keyword is call to action. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to the end of my presentation of the key elements of effective public speaking, and also outlining why public speaking matters to you as a leader in your advocacy efforts and in whichever spaces that you're in. So I will pause here, get to hear any questions that you have on this, and then if there is still time, we're going to have a very quick practical session. We see how we adopt some of these things that we've learned, and a few people can present, because I don't think we have time to get into groups and share. So I'll open up the room for questions. I don't know if Emanuela, you'd like to facilitate, or I just go ahead. I see Gaio already has a hand up. Yes, Gaio.
Thank you so much, Vinny, for the wonderful presentation. So my own is just a comment of something that you raised, like being prepared all the time. Because I have a story where I went to work, I was not even dressed properly, so but I was the most senior person on the ground, and then some people came there with a donation. So I have no option but to speak to them and then also give some speech. So I was kind of embarrassed. So I think that is a very important point.
Gaio, if I heard you correctly, you shared that. Do you mind repeating? I'm not sure I actually got it right. Sorry.
Okay, what I mean, the issue of being prepared all the time. Are you getting me? Hello,
Yes.
are you able to get me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I mean the point that you raise is very important of being prepared all the time. Because I have my own story where I went to work on that day. I was not dressed. I did not dress properly, and then I was not ready. So, but it was on a day I was the most senior person in the office, and some people came there with a donation. So they donate some equipment, and then I was invited. So I have to give some speech, but I was kind of embarrassed the way I dressed, and then yeah, it was not easy with me. So that's what I was saying is a very important point.
Amazing. So what Gaio is saying is that it's not a question, it was actually affirming the point that I shared about dressing the part actually makes a lot of difference, even in how you feel internally as a speaker. And he was giving an example where it was just a random day in office and they were guests and they came and made a donation. And because he was the senior most person in the room, he was called upon to give a speech, and because he wasn't dressed appropriately, that affected how confident he really felt. And I know sometimes these things happen for sure, and we are caught flat-footed. But if you are ever again caught up in that space and you're not able to, like, you don't have time to go and change and everything, like Gaio's situation, sometimes tell yourself, and I know if you're really like me and you're a person who likes to really show up and show up good, looking the part, if you don't look the part, you kind of feel a different way. But I've also been in those spaces where, like, it could be a random day, you've gone to the city to run errands, you're in your jeans and sandals or other things, and you needed to be somewhere and there was no time to go and change or buy an outfit and you just had to show up. one of the things that you actually can do when you find yourself in that space, you can use humor to first acknowledge that, I don't look the part, but I'm not going to let this again hinder or set me down. So you use that. And one of the things I've personally done is using humor to first acknowledge that people caught you off guard. And you can say something like, you can use something like, what's that joke that I used? Like, I normally know how to look the part, but today was just one of those days. And you say it in a humorous way, and it will make people laugh. You'll feel confident about yourself, and it makes a lot of difference. So whenever you ever found yourself in that situation, find ways to go about it, but don't ever let it again bring you down, because we can prepare. But if you have the room to prepare, please go all out. Mary?
All right. Thank you very much, Winnie, for this presentation. As someone who wishes to become a public speaker someday, I've learned so much. But my question is, in your presentation, you mentioned that during some in-person section or meetings, there are people that sometimes get distracted. Some will be on their phone. They are not focusing on what's being said or what is going on. So I want to ask, what are some of these effective strategies that we can use to, as a speaker, you can use to re-engage and disengage audience in those moments, and also bring their focus back to the speaker? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. And that's a very good question, because nowadays people have become, again, as I said, the phones really, and if it's not the phone, it's people talking, especially if you're speaking to peers or people who are in the same line of work. And much worse if you find they're lawyers. Those people like to talk, or journalists like me. So if you're in such a room, you can find you're there, you're on stage, but people are still behind the scenes whispering to each other. So one of the things that people can do, one of the things that there's also always some ground rules, and sometimes the space that you're speaking is also, it's also always very important to really have a moderator that is also very confident and is able to bring the house to order, even fast, by telling people the house rules, what you can do, what you cannot do. Also, if you find yourself, you're right at the stage and you can't keep now going back to the moderator to say, hey, there's guys whispering behind on that table and on that table, you can directly tell people that, again, use humor. You can still tell people you would also like to be part of the conversation, or whatever they're sharing at the back sounds like a very engaging thing that we'll be happy to hear. That will immediately put that table on the spot, or that group on the spot, and they will feel embarrassed to keep doing whatever that they are doing. Two, there's again your delivery. You will ask yourself, maybe when you started out, people were paying attention, then all of a sudden something drifted. Could it be that you're speaking for too long? Could it be it's the delivery? Could it be that people have zoned out with that message? So if it's a drift that has come in the middle of nowhere and that wasn't the case, have a quick scan, because again, when it comes to real time human interaction, a lot of things come up. People could just be distracted by something small. So find out what is it that could have made them change, and see how you can take a pause and engage them by even asking questions. And also, one trick that I use if I'm speaking to a live audience, especially if it's a younger people, because I speak a lot also to youth, if they also like to really get distracted a lot with different things. If you notice a specific character or specific individuals who are becoming culprits of distractions, give them tasks to do. It could be now in like you've already identified, let's say it's Peggy. I'm using Peggy as an example, and she's in the room and you've noticed she's the person distracting people. Ask Peggy, could you please help me pass around these papers where people can put the questions that they have, or ask Peggy a direct question. That helps to keep those distractive people actually engaged and on their toes. Again, walk around the room. These are always easy to do. For virtual calls, you see what I tried to do? Ask people to turn on the camera. It's easier always to see who is able to, who is not. But also virtually, you might not have everybody on camera because of where people are at and also because of the data bandwidth, but also how people are engaging. Like now, I could tell that my audience is engaged because you guys are asking questions. You're engaging on the chat, even though I'm not seeing your faces. So if it's virtual, that's also one of the things that you gauge your audience, but you can only be able to gauge if you had moments where you're engaging with them. If it's physical, don't just stay at the stage, at the front. Walk around, speak from the back of the room, speak from the side. That will keep anybody who is attempting to go on X or TikTok just to catch a break really engaged, because you're there and you're watching. So those are some of the strategies. But again, it's always about knowing your audience and how best you can, I know it sounds like a really bad word, but manipulate and playing around with the attention that we have, because we're living in a world also where there's so many distractions and public speaking has become even much more difficult. And also, it's something I would tell people: give what you would like to get, because sometimes it's our habits as human beings that make it difficult even for others. So if you're also going to a space where you have a speaker, you went there to listen to this person. So at least be respectful enough and give them the time that they need to engage with you. So it's also a call upon ourselves to be better people, because change always starts with one person. Abdul Kadir, I hope I answered your question, Mary. Abdul Kadir?
Yes, thank you, Winnie, for giving me the opportunity. Hope you can hear me. Yes, I love public speaking, and here in Northern Nigerians, I'm into it actually. So my main challenge when it comes to public speaking, how can I understand my audience are getting what I'm saying? Is my messaging being passed? And are they receiving what I'm saying? Yes, that's my question. Having said that, as an expert, Winnie, what element can you recommend for me? And yes, for me to hold whenever I'm into presenting something, or yes, presenting something, to understand my audience are getting what I'm saying or they are not getting, so that at least I can adjust, or I can change the way I'm presenting that very topic. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I was trying to read the chats, then somehow I ended up closing the tab. I'm sorry, but I heard your question and you wanted to know how you can help your audience stay engaged. I'd share that earlier, or rather how you can know that your audience is engaging with you. If it's an online platform, you will see based on the interaction that you have from your audience. If you're asking a question, people are quiet, nobody is engaging, nobody is saying anything, even if it's a question, that is one of the indicators that people are not listening. How you curate your message first by knowing your audience has an impact or an influence in how your audience pays attention. And that's why we have said it's important first, when you're coming up with you're contextualizing, you're asking yourself in the preparation stage, what is it that you want to share? Why is it important to share it? Because sometimes when you ask yourself, why is it important to share? You will realize, oh, maybe what you want to share is important, but the why do you want to share it, makes you go back to your drawing board. So prepare, ask yourself those questions, interrogate the audience and ask yourself, what action do you want to inspire from these people? Because you could be sharing and you're expecting your audience to have a certain action or decision, but it's not clear in your delivery. So if you don't know what is it that you want to get from your audience, it is hard for you also to really understand whether the audience is really engaged. So one of the best ways you can actually influence or try to understand if your audience really engaged with what you said or what you delivered to them is having a clear plan on what action or decision you want to inform or influence from your audience. I hope I answered your question. And then I will also, because I know also in the interest of time, we might not be able to cover everything. I love that you guys are sharing questions. I will also share my email, and you are also able to reach out to me with any further questions, insights that you might need. I've also seen people asking for the slides. Yes, they will be shared. I think we'll just convert them to something, either PDF or something, and share, and you'll be able to access them. Yes, Bernard?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. So my question is about making eye contact with the audience and also focusing on your presentation. So most of the times when you are presenting and you make eye contact with the audience, you feel some nervousness and some type of fear and all that stuff. So I want to know if, how I could, make those eye contacts whilst focusing on what I'm presenting.
I am glad you asked that question, Bernard, because it was something I was going to raise. Because I remember when we were doing I think it was the icebreaker, and Obi was asking about those questions and our experiences the first time we spoke up. I think it was you, Bernard, or somebody else who said they avoided looking at the people, look at the heads or anywhere else. So this is always a very controversial one. But I always tell people again, first is the do's and don'ts. First, when it comes to eye contact, it's very important to look at the person you're speaking to, even if it's on a one-on-one. It's good to speak to that person when you're looking at them because of the body language that we've said. If you're speaking to people and you're looking to somebody, even if it's one person, and you're looking at your toes or you're looking on the side, there's an impression that it gives. First is that you're not confident, you're not looking at them. But then also there's the other bit, the trick that you can use of not looking at people, but it's like you're looking at them. First, you have to maintain a very straightforward posture. It doesn't matter whether you want to look at these people or not, assuming it's physically in a room and you're at the stage, they're down there. There's always a familiar face that you're at least comfortable with. And that could be the face that you look. Because if you're on the stage and you have hundreds of people looking at you, but just looking at the number, you can get terrified. But it's important for you to maintain that straight face. So either look directly to the end, to the back of that room. It gives the impression that you're actually looking at the audience straight. Again, when you're emphasizing on a point, linger in one particular spot. Like it looks as though you are addressing a specific person by just looking and not darting from one point to another. In real sense, it doesn't have to be, if it's a big room, you don't have to look at everybody. It could be a familiar face you're used to, like one of the organizers, a friend or a relative in the room. And these are the people who will always at least nod or give you something. And it could even be somebody you've planted in that room and told them, please give me, again, as we said, this peer motivation or peer feedback. And you've told somebody, if you notice I'm running over a point, give me a signal. And that's the person you want to look up to. And even how they give you a thumbs up and they tell you something, it motivates you to know that you're in the right place. So I would say when it comes to your audience, try to, as much as you can at any given point, look at the people in the eye. If you're not able to directly give the impression that you're looking at them, but you cannot afford to look as though you're not looking at people, it cannot be obvious that you're staring on the roof and people are down here. So that's one of the ways you can do that. I know it's not an easy thing to do, but it matters a lot in terms of the body language, how confident people see you, and even how they will pay attention. So try and look at them. If you notice, actually, one of the tricks I use, if I'm speaking to a big room, and when I'm emphasizing a point or when I'm speaking, I see there's specific people who are paying attention, they're nodding. Those are the people that I will always be looking at, because then there's a feeling they give you and you become just easy. So that's one of the things that you can do. But again, as we have said, some of these things they need practice. They need you to really make it a habit. Because I know even for two people, there are people who are really shy about looking at people, but you just cultivate them and just know, again, at the end of the day, you're focusing on the message and not yourself.
You are muted. You are muted. You are muted.
Okay, I just noticed. I don't know what happened. Yes, so I know time is not on our side, and I believe we are on top of the hour. But it's okay, because the other bit that was remaining was just doing bit things practically, which is not what is more important is the engagement that we've had and the question that we have. And I'm sure it's not the last time that we engage in. We can always have future editions where we get to do the practical side of things and even do an additional thing on top of that. So I'm just glad that I was able to share the fundamentals and a bit of strategies that you guys can use to improve on your public speaking. Some of the other things that I can leave you with is if I know just communication is a skill, and to some people, these things come naturally. To some, you have to keep cultivating it. So if you're also one of these people who would really like to really hone your skills, practice always makes perfect. Find opportunities to speak. It could be in the smallest of ways. It could be, in fact, one of the places where I even owned as a young girl my confidence about speaking to people was always volunteering to speak to young people in church, to present things in church, in school. I was that girl who would like just to go to in the front of the assembly and just give a report of the things that happened the whole week in school. So find opportunities that you can use among your community to speak. And that way you get to practice, you get to build on your confidence. And if you're also like established in these spaces, find opportunities to speak in conferences, find opportunities to speak in webinars. Don't sometimes just always wait for people to invite you. You can volunteer yourself to go and do it. And the more you do it, the more you become better, the more it feels natural, the more you build your portfolio as a public speaker. You can also watch your peers, people you admire, role models, other community leaders, how they do their speaking, and analyze how they do their things, then get some inspiration. You can watch TED Talks. I'm a big fan myself, and join other groups that could exist there on public speaking. At the end of it all, you are the master of the conversation that you have. You know what you want to share and why you want to share it. So always forge out feeling confident that what you're saying will make a difference. So I will end with a quote that says, if you can speak, you can influence. If you can influence, you can change lives. I don't know who the author is, but that's one of the quotes that I love. Thank you so much for engaging with me today, and I will hand it back to the host.
Thank you so much. I love you.
Emmanuel, are you there? Or are you muted like me?
Okay, I need to confirm, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
All
now.
right, Asante Winnie. Winnie, thank you so much. This is a great, powerful, insightful conversation. And you know, the last word you said when you were finishing, practice makes perfection. Recently, I was reading a book on public speaking, and the author said, the best way to learn how to speak is by speaking. So you want to learn how to speak, you want to learn how to become a great public speaker. The best way to do that is by speaking, practicing, makes perfection. Thank you so much, Winnie, once again for honoring the invitation. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your expertise, your experience. Thank you for sharing it with us this evening. And honestly, I don't know about anyone else, but personally, I really, really need to take water to step down the insight I've taken from this session. And I'm not joking, you know, to allow it sink in properly. Because I think and I believe the depth of an information is really measured by the level of understanding. And it's not every day we have this kind of conversation. I mean, I'm a compare, a broadcast journalist who is big on strategic communication. And every insight Winnie shared is profound. You know, the moment you cited the need to turn on camera as a speaker while speaking, I was like, okay, call my name. Because really, I felt guilty of that, literally. Because sometimes you just feel like, okay, I'm comfortable with my face not being seen. And really, this little things goes a long way, which are really important. That sometimes we subconsciously, unconsciously neglect it. Thank you so much, Winnie. I personally have learned a lot. And I know our wonderful participants, ladies and gentlemen, you all have learned a lot from today's session. And I wanted to do something quickly, just in the chat box, okay? Winnie spent her time, our expertise, our skills to come here today and lecture us. It's been an interactive and engaging session. So I'd like you to drop in the chat box just one or two things that you have learned from this session that you're going to be running with. Personally, whenever I attend an event, a session, I try as much as possible to make sure that amidst everything that has been said, I'm picking one or two things I'll be running with moving forward. So one or two things you have learned, you have gained, and you will be running with moving forward. Let's have that in the chat box, okay? All right, what have you learned from, okay, practice? Obi Ezelo said practice. Okay, practice makes perfection. You want to practice over and over again? All right, okay, Gaio says practice. I practice, okay? All right, Ngozi says content and why you want to share it. Awesome. And Gabriel Opanati says practice. Okay, Efia says, try to master the art of eye contact. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Let's keep it coming. What is that one thing or two things you will be running with moving forward? Out of everything Winnie has shared with us, trust me, it's been a time of great insight and knowledge and, you know, educative information that are really, really, really profound in this time. Yeah, you must have plenty of jokes up your sleeve. Okay, that's it. Yeah, okay. From Hirat, Hirat says you must have plenty of jokes up your sleeve. That's it. Because sometimes when the audience are bored, you just want to sneak in, you know, a little joke to make everyone feel like, okay, let's have your 32 whole house and, you know, having everyone relax at the same time. All right, we have Undetati says, engage people who are making the soda. Right. Okay. Bernard says, the 4 W's. That's it. And the 1 H. The what? Question. Who? Why? Where? And how? Very important. I had to put it down for real. That's solid, profound. The 4 W's, what, who, why, where, and the 1 H, how. Thank you, Bernard, for sharing that. Okay, Khadija says, learn to make preparation before public speaking. Absolutely. You know, when Winnie mentioned, the fact that she practiced, she was seated at the same spot before the meeting started. And I'm just like, oh, I can really relate with that because it's been a busy day for me. And I had to okay, we have few hours to the event. I need to just, get stuff to do in others, what I have to prepare in order for me to moderate this session, right? I didn't just come here and just start doing what I was, just saying whatever I want to say, but I had to prepare to make sure that everything goes the way it's supposed to go. So yeah, definitely. Okay, we have all right. Ruby says, well done, Winnie. That's from Ruby. Okay, Ibrahim or Ganija says, I will try to control my voice when I'm addressing others. I will try to find opportunity to speak to others because I can be a good speaker by speaking to others, as Miss Winnie taught us. Absolutely, that's a profound affirmation. Okay, Irat Abdurrahman is saying the 5 W's. The words question who, where, when, why, and how. Okay, Mary says, I will practice. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for staying with us till this very moment. Thank you. Yeah, Winnie has dropped her email address in the chat box. If you'd like to reach out to her, you have a question you'd like to ask, please do what to reach out to Winnie. We have our email address in the chat box and also a wiki username. Thank you so much, Winnie. Okay, Khadija says, wear good color clothes to attract the camera. Okay, thank you. The last quote she mentioned, I forget it. Okay, Winnie, you might want to try to help with that. Umbe would like to have that. The last quote you said. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Peggy says, if you want to master speaking, then volunteer to speak. Watch your peers or someone you admire speak and practice. Thank you very much. All right, Winnie has shared the quotes. Ndetati, you have it here. If you can speak, you can influence. If you can influence, you can change lives. Rob Brown, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for your time. We really do appreciate it. Winnie, thank you. Asante, Asante. I really cannot thank you enough. Thank you for honoring us. We reached out to you. You are doing an amazing work within the Wikimedia Foundation, and you are an inspiration to a lot of us, women in Africa. And it's such a great privilege to have you here today, sharing your insights and experiences with us. We really do not take it for granted. Thank you so much, Winnie. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, it's been a minute here. Thank you. And I hope that we all are going to see. Okay, all right, let's have the photo group. Thank you, Winnie. Yeah, let's do the photo, the group photograph right now. Kindly put on your camera. You have heard from Winnie's mouth that it is very important for you to put on your camera when you are in a meeting. So let's start taking action right now. Put on your camera. We want to see your face, and let's have the group.
Start with you. Turn on your camera, Emanuela.
Photograph. Are we ready? All right. So we can have, all right, so we can have the group photograph at this moment. Thank you. All right, can we have the photograph now? Amarachi, please can you take the group photograph? Let me know, or Peggy. Peggy, are we good to go?
Yes, please.
Yes, we're good to go.
Okay, all right. Just let me know once you've taken the photograph so that we can wrap it up. Thank you.
Yes, done.
All right, thank you, everyone. Amarachi, can you please drop in the chat box the link to the attendance form? We'd like to know your view, your take on this session. Was it interactive? Was it engaging? What are you looking for in the next edition of the Africa Wiki Women Skill Up workshop? Thank you, Amarachi. Let's have that. Thank you so much, Winnie. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us. Amarachi, let's have the link to the attendance in the chat box. Yeah, thank you. Winnie saying have a blessed week. Thank you, Winnie. And you also have a blessed and a productive week as well. Thank you. All right, Amarachi, let's have the link to the attendance in the chat box. Okay, we have it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the link to the attendance. We'd like to know your thoughts. Yeah, basically, about the session. Was it insightful? Did you love it? Was it interesting, engaging? Yeah, all you have to say about it. Thank you very much. And we are going to be sharing the link on the WhatsApp community as well. Thank you so much. The next edition of the Africa Wiki Women Workshop, Skill Up Workshop, is going to be coming up in May, the May edition. And by next week, the publicity, the flyer for the event will be out, so we can share with community members and invite them to join. This is a great space for learning, for building capacity, for empowerment, and you don't want to keep it to yourself. You want to tell other persons in your community as well to be a part of this. Yes, please visit our Meta page and be a registered member by filling the form in the chat box. You can also join our WhatsApp community by clicking on the link in the chat box. The link are in the chat box. And also, I'd like to give you a sneak peek into something that, is the Africa Wiki Women has been working on for a while now. I'm happy and glad to tell you that the Africa Wiki Women now have a podcast. And you can follow us on Spotify at Africa Wiki Women Voices podcast. It is a podcast that is going to blow your mind. It's a space and environment for African women, young girls to be inspired, educated, and a whole lot of things that are going to be happening within the space. So the first episode of the podcast will be out next week, and you want to be the first to know about it. You want to be the first to listen to the episode 1. So please follow us on Spotify at Africa Wiki Women Voices, and ensure to click on the notification button so you'll be the first person to get notified whenever we drop an episode. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time and for your patience. Thank you, family. We love you, and we hope to see you in the May edition of the workshop. Thank you once again. Have a great week ahead.